Hey, Tina, thanks for joining us today. How are you?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
I'm good. Andrew, you're good?
I'm good. I'm on vacation. Got my beer ready.
It's 12:30
Andrew's
on
set.
Monday, and he's got his beer.
Yes.
He's set. That is vacation.
I was set. My friend Andrea and we were at your event on Saturday, which we're going to go into in a minute. But we were definitely set because we took champagne and orange juice, and we were drinking mimosas
Yes.
while cheering on all those amazing lady runners we had. And
Oh, that's great.
we had so much fun. We had to go to Rite Aid across from Centennial Plaza and buy another bottle of champagne.
Oh, yes.
Andrew's story was quite something on the other day. Yeah.
Well, that makes my heart very happy. I want people to celebrate, and yeah, I'm here for it.
And we have the designated outdoor recreational area downtown now. So, I mean, you can drink on the streets and nobody can say boo about it.
No, I mean, that plaza has drawn in so much attention, and it makes me so happy to see downtown Canton just be busy. And so good for you. I'm glad that you really utilized your rights down there.
And, when I first moved back here, I saw downtown, I think everything was for lease except for government buildings. Mm-hmm. And to see what it's become over the last few years is pretty remarkable. And you guys really showed off the best of Canton. And I really appreciated that. And it was just a ton of fun. We're going to go into the race in a minute, but let's get a little bit of your background. So sure. You are currently you're going to be the men's and women's distance and cross country coach. You're not a multiple coach at Malone University. You graduated there in 2014 and you were an All-American.
Yeah.
You had the first NCAA All-American, you told us before we hopped on here. Give us that story a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. So I went to Malone. I actually did not go there at first. I went to another school and it just didn't work out. It wasn't what I had anticipated. And so I'm from Stark County, and so I knew of Malone and Coach Hazen. He's kind of a legend here. He always thought I'd come to Malone, and I broke his heart. And then I called him up and was like, I think I need a transfer. So he welcomed me with open arms. But during that time of my transition, Malone had put in a bid to go NCAA. They were NAIA, so they're in that transition process. So I actually had to wait like 2 years to compete, postseason like championship. So my senior year was like the only year to do it if I was going to make it to nationals and become an NCAA All-American. So senior year, I just was determined like it was going to happen because this was my only shot. So I had a really good cross-country career senior year, and our team was really, really good. We were strong, and then I just had the opportunity to actually, make my season worth something. So went to regionals, qualified individually to the national meet, and then ran out in Spokane, Washington, and became Malone's first ever NCAA All-American. So it was pretty neat.
In what event?
Cross country. So the 6K. Yeah.
So. You said you were middle distance at Malone. Like, what all event-wise does that encompass? Because you're on track too then, correct?
Yeah. So in high school, I was very much middle distance oriented, and that includes like the 800, the 16. If you would have asked me to run, the 3200 on the track in high school, I would have told you to screw off. Like, I'm not doing that. I only had to do that to score points. So that should give you a little bit of insight on my mindset at the time.
That was about my dedication. Yeah.
Yeah, like what? 8 laps on the track? Are you kidding me? Come on. I'll do the 4x4 any day, but 3200 and no. So in college, it was still the 8 and the 15. I really focused a lot on the 15, and I had success, but I got to a point where I needed to go up in distance. So senior year, Coach Hazen and Coach Gramlich and another coach I had, Coach Matt Reneker, they talked me into going up to the 5K. And so I finally, caved into that, but there's no way they were going to convince me to do the 10K. So I did the 5K, was successful in that. And I actually qualified in track as well to the national meet in the 5K, but just didn't have the best experience there. But so senior year, we're in the 5K on the track. So there you go.
What's wrong with the 10K? Like that's
there's
so
some
it's
dissing
funny
being done of the 10K.
It's funny because if you like go check out my Strava, you'll see like I probably run, especially when I'm not I run a ridiculous amount of 10Ks, and I've always said like 10K is a racing distance, 6 miles isn't, and like I don't know, it's a good round number, even though 6.2 miles
is not round.
But it's 10K. It's a racing distance.
Yes.
So,
this is America, man. We don't do this in kilometers.
I'm sorry. Imperial system's stupid. So what do you have against the 10K?
I don't now. I'm talking like college Tina. College Tina did. That was a lot of laps for college Tina. I mean, they just convinced me to do a 5K on the track. So it was a complete mindset, and I will be really transparent. I was just weak-minded at the time. And really, I should have done the 10K because I probably would have thrived like a lot in the 10K. And I did my first 10K about 2 years ago, and I had a lot of success in it. And I did it on the track too, not on the roads.
Oh.
So I ran it unattached on the track.
Oh.
And I really liked it. So I don't have anything against the 10K now, but certainly college me did. It was just a lot of laps for me.
Yeah, I could see that on the track. That would suck. It's different on the road.
It is, but I would love to do another 10K. So
do it on the road. It's a lot more fun. I don't know if how many laps is that on a track?
Oh gosh.
I should know this.
I should know this. I'm the coach, right? Oh my goodness.
I don't feel so bad now.
24 laps, I believe, right? 24. Is that correct?
To the Google machine.
24, 25. I'm guessing. I'm like doing math in my head right now.
10K laps on track.
Well, it's because we do this stupid Imperial stuff here. So you have to like, it's so confusing.
25 laps.
Okay, see, I was right.
Yeah.
I said 24, then I said 25. So
24 sounds like it should be right.
Yeah,
because
25.
Because we think of miles, you think, kind of multiples of 4. Which, yeah.
Actually, I'm really embarrassed that I couldn't just do that math in my head.
I suck at math, so I'm not embarrassed at all.
I was an English teacher, not a math teacher. Okay.
That's okay. Numbers are hard, so.
That's very fair.
Yes.
Speaking of numbers that are hard, you have 11 siblings.
Yeah.
Where do you fall in the order?
I'm number 11. I'm
wow.
2 1s, baby.
How much older is the oldest than you?
Yeah, so I do have a younger sister. So there's 12 of us, just 11 siblings.
12. Okay.
Yeah, but 11 siblings. My sister is 18 years older than me, the oldest. Wow. So, yeah. Fun stuff. I was an aunt when I was in kindergarten. So that gives you a little perspective. A lot of fun. My family is like so much fun, craziness, madness. And everyone always asks me, like, do you want that many kids? I'm like, no, I don't. No. I'll get lucky if I have one. So, but
I was going to make you went to Central Catholic joke, but I don't want to piss off all the Catholics that might listen to us.
Oh, it's okay. I always got that question. Like, when I'd be like, oh, you're Catholic. Like, no. Yeah. Like shaking your head. Like, yep.
Wave off, Andrew. Wave off. So you graduate from Malone.
Mm-hmm.
What becomes of your running career after that? Where do things go for you from there?
Yeah. I was sort of in this place where I didn't know what I wanted to do. And Coach Hazen actually really encouraged me to train post-collegiately. And so I did that for a few months, like really like fast after college. I was just training but I didn't really have a goal. And so was figuring life out. So then I stopped. And so I took about 5 years off of running, competitive running. I mean, I was lucky to get 9 miles in a week, going from 80 to like 90. So it was like huge astronomical difference. And I just stepped away from the running world completely. I actually moved out west. I lived in Denver, Colorado.
Hey.
Yeah. And just was, doing a corporate job, and it was awful. Hated my job completely. And so I knew I always wanted to get back into the running world, whether that was coaching or, organizing road races or whatever that looked like. I knew I wanted to get back into it. So I actually found an opportunity at Malone. There was a grad assistantship coming up for the cross country team. And I was actually visiting Ohio at the time when I saw this on the internet. And so I was like, oh, this is interesting. So I set up a lunch date with Coach Hazen and Coach David Gramlich. And both were my college coaches. And so we had lunch and they told me about the opportunity. And I really was like hesitant on moving back to Ohio just because I love the West. But I really thought about it, and then I ended up taking it. And so I ended up staying in Ohio. It turned in from a visit to moving back completely. And here I am. I'm the head coach, which sounds crazy, but yeah.
Where in Colorado or where in Denver did you live?
I actually lived in Parker.
Oh,
so it was like,
no kidding. I lived in Castle Rock for 8 years.
Oh, yeah.
So.
That's awesome. Yeah, Colorado is awesome. So
yeah, it's too expensive, and I don't like the weather.
It's very expensive, and I'm very fortunate to be living in Ohio because the cost of living is amazing here. And one of my good friends actually flew out for this women's 6K event, which was really cool. A friend that I made out there when I was living, and she was like, things are so cheap here. Like, cost of living is so much better here. I was like, I know, move to Ohio. So yes, it is very expensive.
Like, I have a house for the cost of like splitting a studio with somebody in Denver. It's insane.
Yeah, it really is. That was rough living out there, but fun. But yeah, living on pennies, really.
Yeah, but you do have a lot of cool places to see. But that's not why we brought you on. We brought you on to talk about this women's 6K USATF National Championship. And that's really what we want to get into now. I think we hit on pretty much everything else that I wrote down because we came into this woefully unprepared because I just reached out to you after the event on Saturday. I think I woke up from my post-champagne nap, and I was like, we got to get Tina on because that was so awesome. So
great.
how, and you had mentioned that, you wanted to either get into coaching or race organizing, and now you're working with Jim Chaney at Run to You Racing. And I just am curious, how did this whole idea, take me back to the beginning, like what even started the thought of let's do a women's 6K road race championship?
You want the whole story? Long,
I'm on vacation.
He's on vacation.
Yeah, do whatever you want.
Oh, great. Yeah, you need time to drink that beer too. So
I got more downstairs.
I know.
So
and yes.
And my kid's trained to bring it up to me.
Yes, that's impressive, really. Like, if anything, I'm impressed. It's Monday. I don't need anything else. That's it. Yeah, so, let's rewind back to this time where I was just super confused right after college. And I think a lot of when you're an athlete, like your entire life, the majority of your life wraps around, structure and practices and being essentially told what to do. It's a really hard time getting out of that and then being like, here you go, figure it out. And I think that's just across the board for students in general. And I don't know if any of you guys went through that or not. Yeah. It's a weird time, right? So very similar. I went through that where like you wrap around your entire life, your entire scheduling around this sport. And then you're kind of given freedom to do whatever you want, which is exciting, but yeah, it's really scary. And so during this time, I was just having a really rough time distinguishing, what my life meant after this sport that obviously played a huge significance in who I am. And so I had kicked this idea around that I always wanted to create a run surrounded by meaning and purpose and empowerment. And initially my idea was like, I'm going to do this run across Ohio where I'm going to videotape the entire thing, and it's empowerment. And the whole idea is expressing your worthiness of who you are, separated from the sport. And so it really began, I would say, back in 2015, when I started really thinking about what I wanted to do with my life and creating this meaningful event that surrounded empowerment and celebration and welcoming all. And so I started kicking the tires around about that. And then it started just evolving from there. And then, I was in Colorado, and I kept thinking, man, I need to do something with this idea. And I really want to get back into running. And I didn't know if that was getting back competitively myself, but still this idea just kept evolving from 2015. And then it kind of expanded from there. And then I got into this position coaching, being the grad assistant at Malone. So then I was like, okay, I'm back in the running world, and I was training. I was running super fast, and but I still wanted to do this event. And then I started recognizing the impact I had on young women, on young ladies, and coaching women. Coach Hazen and Coach Graham really wanted me to focus on the women's team when I was the grad assistant. So I recognized I had some impact on just young ladies, and especially being a competitive runner myself and doing it and going through it. I was like, okay, there's something here. And so I recognized that gifted talent that I had of bringing women and young ladies together. And so then I was like, maybe I need to steer away from this long extended state run, and maybe I need to focus more on a specific group. And that's where this women's idea came into play. And then, the stars aligned, and Jim Chaney and David Beck brought me on board, and they actually just called me up and were like, hey, we think it'd be really cool for you to come on board, actually help specifically with our Pro Football Hall of Fame marathon, and be sort of an intern. And at the time, if you're a grad assistant, you're living on pennies. And so I went from a full-time job in my late 20s to a $2,000 stipend yearly, and trying to find miscellaneous work to pay my bills.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can imagine. So I was like, yeah, I don't care what it is. I'll take this up. I need money. And so really it was initially for me, I picked it up because I needed money, but then it became something that actually was going to be quite fulfilling. And so worked with them, and Jim Chaney and I had talked about, ideas. And then he talked about wanting to create maybe a women's race. And so did David Beck. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. Mm-hmm. This person has the same similar, thoughts that I do. And so, like I said, the stars aligned, and I just found someone that wanted something exactly what I wanted, was a meaningful event. And so I told him my story and my vision. And so we started brainstorming, and then COVID hit. And that was kind of oh gosh, but we still continued to plan. We're like, you know what? This is a perfect time to start visualizing what we wanted. So we started brainstorming, meeting up when we could. And, we went to the drawing board, crossed out things, circled things. And eventually we came up with this women's 6K event. And 6K came from, we originally were going to have it 5K. And then I started thinking, I'm like, you know what? We're more creative than that. 5K, everyone does a 5K, right? Everyone hears about this 5K. And I really didn't like the idea of making it a 5K. And so I came to Jim and I was like, what do you think about a 6K? And he's like, a 6K? I was like, well, hear me out. I said, the reason why I think 6K, it represents women, and how it represents women is from Division 1 to to Division III. We're all cross country collegiately. The ladies are running and racing a 6K. That's like the standard event, or the standard distance that collegiate athletes race. And so he really liked that idea. And so we decided to go with a 6K. And then we started planning more because we were going to have the race no matter what. The USA Track and Field event really, it came just as we started planning. And so we started doing research, and we noticed that USA Track and Field never had a 6K road race championship. And we're like, this could be an idea. So we never thought we'd get it. And we went through the bid process. We told them our idea, and they really, really liked it. They're like, no, you need to follow through with this. You need to put in your bid for this. So we're like, oh goodness. Okay, let's do this. So we went through that long extending process, and then they came back and they were like, yep, we're going to do it. And then, excuse my French, but I was like, oh shit. Like, what? Like, you like it? Like, oh my gosh, I have to like make this, like, I have to follow through. I'm a type of person like, oh my gosh, like my name is on the line. I need to make this great. And so, Jim Chaney, he's the same way. He wants to deliver. We're all about the people. And so, and now here we are. We have the first one in the books, which is crazy. I mean, honestly, I got emotional Saturday because I was like,
oh yeah,
I can't believe this.
Well,
So,
and it's your town too, like that's the thing.
Yeah.
Like I think there were a lot of people who felt that way. Like I know I did. Like I'm not a native of this area, but I've lived here for a combined 9 or 10 years, and I love my town. I don't remember if we had recorded yet or not, but like I mean, when I first moved here, everything was vacant, and it was so depressing to be downtown, and you never went downtown for anything. And now you go downtown for First Fridays. You go downtown just to go to a nice restaurant because they exist. You have the Ernesto, you have luxury apartments. Like we have stuff here now, and to be the center of the women's road racing world for a day was a really awesome experience. And that was, and you guys just really did knock it out of the park. So I don't blame you for getting emotional. I was there with you, maybe in a little different respect, just like a prideful sense of like,
you
guys showed off.
Prideful sense.
Yes.
You really did you did it right. You did it the right way. The right turn on the bricks there towards the end was a little sketchy with the rain, but you guys really did knock it out of the park. So the 6K came from the ladies cross country distance.
Yes, it did.
So wait, in college, do women and men run different distances in cross country?
Yes, we do.
Really?
So women race 6K, and the men, after the season, they run a 10K on the grass. But usually they're racing an 8K. So
okay.
Yeah, it's not until regionals and nationals that the men are running a 10K, but we race a 6K. So
the whole way through, there's no.
That's interesting.
Yes, there's some races where they'll offer like a 5K, which is kind of fun. So sometimes we take a break from the 6K, and my ladies can race a 5K, and that's always fun. But usually we are racing a 6K. Yeah.
I didn't know that. I would not have suspected that there were differences in the distances run between the two genders. Okay.
Yeah. So now you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when it comes to getting the elites to come to an event like this, what's some of that look like? I mean, you brought some good. Emily Durgan was probably the biggest name that we had here on Saturday. But what's some of that process look like? I mean, is it just because I'll let you, I was about to give you a yes or no question. I'm going to let you explain it.
No, thanks. That was a lot of, it was definitely, I want to say, a contribution of everyone's work. And so you had the piece of the USA Track and Field where you had those people that had, the power in putting this in the lap of the right people's hands. But then you have us hustling, contacting USA Track and Field clubs, contacting agents, hey, but this race on your radar, it's going to be big. There's decent prize money. And so it certainly was, Jim and I hustling and contacting USA Track and Field organizations and teams and clubs. And then there was the USA Track and Fields piece where they were announcing it on their website. They were putting it, they made it a part of the circuit, the point circuit system. Mm-hmm. And then there's just, word of mouth. And so it certainly was a multiple contribution of people, getting it in the hands of the right people. So
we had Taylor Werner ran 1821, Emily Durgan 1827. That was, they were neck and neck with, I'm trying to think. So you had them take that turn where they kind of ran around Centennial Plaza and then they came back. Yes. What was the distance at that turn? Can you think off the top of your head?
Yeah, I think there was about 0.3 left. And when they came around that turn, I mean, they were still together.
Yeah, they were hip to hip for sure.
Yeah. And so it was really neat. I had someone, contacting me saying, hey, there's two that separated from the pack. So we knew before they came down that there was two people separating. And so that was really, really cool to see because I ran, I sprinted to that turn and saw them and I was like, oh my goodness, this is going to be a really great race. And it was, across the board, it was a really great race.
Yeah, that's insane. 0.3 and she ended up separating 6 seconds. That's a hell of a kick.
She turned it on. Taylor turned it on. So that was pretty cool.
And on top of the elite event, you also had an open event that was open to women only, which was again awesome. What were some of the times in that? Do you know off the top of your head?
Off the top of my head, yeah, I think the winner averaged 6 flat or 6 O's, Sheesh. And so. We had some great runners and they were, collegiately, they were racers. I actually had my former teammate, Sarah Pilates.
Yeah. I love Sarah.
Yeah. Sarah's
I bought
great.
many a shoe from her back in her second school days.
I think, a lot of people have. So she's actually my former teammate. We ran together and it was really neat watching her be a part of it, but also being one of those top open racers. And so, we still had competitive people in that front pack of the open division.
Can I say seeing her finish a race in Canton was it kind of felt like taking a trip in a time machine a little bit.
Yes.
And she moved northwest and that felt, I didn't even know she was going to be there, but to see her racing, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I was really pleased with the open race, and there's a lot of chatter now after the first one, and so I really think next year is going to be a lot bigger.
So next year is for sure happening?
We are going to have it, and I'm putting the stake in the ground and saying this is ours. Right. Yes.
That's one of those events that's going to get bigger every year.
Yeah.
And
we received a lot of emails from the community and even the elites. And that made us feel really, really good about ourselves. And really, like I said, it wasn't just Jim and I. I mean, we had a village of people just supporting us and, backing us up. And, my entire team, Malone Cross Country, we were the hands and feet of this event as well. And boatloads of other volunteers. So really, we just feel humbled that so many people wanted to support this.
I had messaged you on Instagram that I wish we would have had you on beforehand because I would have loved to have been more a part of that. But here we are. We're at least talking afterwards. Next year, it'll be beforehand, and we're going to help you promote this. All right.
Yes.
Because awesome. we want the whole Northeast Ohio running community, not just the Akron Canton area down there. Because it's worthy of a big celebration. So, and Canton is worthy of, showing off its best side because we have a reputation down here. And It's not the place a lot of you think it is.
I think all of Northeast Ohio, unfortunately, has that reputation.
Canton, I'm going to say Canton more than Akron or Cleveland has a reputation of just being a place you don't want to. Even here in Canton, people think Canton is a place you don't want to be.
Really?
Yeah.
We're not very happy people down here. I mean, I am, but collectively.
You're on vacation, you're drinking, of course you're happy.
Oh yeah, I'm good.
Nothing can beat that.
Yeah. It's my favorite time of the week too. Talking to Adam and other people. So
Very
next
good.
year it's on. Adam wanted to ask you a little bit about some coaching.
Yeah, because I coached high school soccer for over a decade, so I love nerding out with other coaches. So
I'm all about it.
I'm really curious because with a team sport like soccer,
Mhm.
everybody's operating where you have to have this cohesive unit. With track or cross country, it's individual performers, but you're still working on building points for the team.
Mhm.
What is that like, coaching individuals that really are competing for themselves while also having them in this team environment?
Yeah, I want to express that cross country is a team sport. And so I know you can qualify as an individual, but I really, how I approach that is we are a team. And because I think what happens is when they get caught up in the individual part of the sport, because there is that piece that like soccer does not have, it often is like this run for myself mentality rather than the team. And so, there could be races where one of my athletes, they're racing and they might start feeling sorry for themselves and then they fold completely. Well, then they have some effect on, the rest of the ladies that are putting their complete best effort out there. And so for me as a collegiate cross country coach, I really emphasize the team structure of the piece, both cross country and track and field, that, we're scoring points for the team when we're scoring, and how I go about it is like, this is bigger than yourself. And so we really want the athletes to focus on the team aspect. And for me, I always felt like when I was focusing more on my teammates' performances and getting them to a certain place on the grass where they needed to be in position for us to score well, I always felt like I got a better outcome for myself because I wasn't so like tuned in with my race strategy. I was, it was serving a bigger purpose, if that makes sense. And so I really do my best in team meetings to create this culture of team rather than, individually qualifying for yourself. And I'm sorry about my office phone ringing right now.
Oh, it's okay. I knew it wasn't me, and I knew it wasn't Andrew because he was muted. So no big deal.
Yes.
We've had dogs bark in the background. We've had all sorts of stuff in the background of our podcasts. It's far from the worst thing.
Okay. Well, apologies.
No worries. Do you have any specific mentors or influences that really guide the coaching that you do and the sort of atmosphere you try to create?
Yeah, absolutely. So Coach Jack Hazen, which if you don't know a little bit about Coach Hazen, he has been here for over 50 plus years.
Wow.
He's been the person that has built this program for what it is from the ground up. And he's still here. He's 81 and he is now called Coach Emeritus. And but he still comes and shows up every day. I get coffee with him every day. He's my best friend. He's played a huge role in the way I coach, which is he is very competitive, but he cares about his athletes, not just what they do on the track or the grass, but we care about who are you going to be after this? Like, what kind of person, do you want to be? And so he's been a huge mentor in helping me establish that in my own coaching. And same with, I would say, Coach David Gramlich. He's now transitioning over into a more administrative role here at Malone, but he was actually the coach before I became head coach. And he was the assistant coach at the time I was an athlete. And so he's played also a huge role in the way I coach, where, he shows a lot of compassion for student athletes. And I really was really fortunate to have these two to learn from, because sometimes, not all coaches are given that, or they start their coaching career having no one to guide them. And so I recognize just how fortunate I've been to have these two. So yeah, they've been a huge role in the way I coach and who I am today. So kudos to them.
So we're huge fans of, we bring them up probably every other week, Brad Stolberg and Steve Magnus. And you kind of hit on something at the beginning, and I think you just kind of hit on it again. It's something they had talked about in the Growth Equation podcast just last week, and it was transitions.
Mm-hmm.
And, you had talked about how it was difficult kind of when your athletic career ended, and, you were transitioning and kind of lost. And, but you were surrounded with, you just mentioned those two coaches, and you kind of, talking about how they're concerned with who you're going to be after this, like once this is over. Did they, and they were obviously instrumental in helping you with that transition, because look where you are, and you have coffee every day. Your best friend is 81.
Yes.
Not many people who graduated college in 2014 can say their best friend is 81.
Yes.
No, they cannot.
So is that something that you're really taking on yourself to continue that and continue to help these athletes who, their career is ending? Not everybody is, Tony or, some of those athletes who can continue to run professionally or semi-professionally.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I would certainly say I feel like I have a duty and an obligation to give that back to these athletes. And I go back to purpose and meaning, and that's certainly, it all intertwines with my personal core values as a coach, and it intertwines with this women's 6K is that, certainly I'm giving young athletes and elite athletes a platform to really showcase their abilities and showcase who they are. And, my platform happens to be running, because running is what has shaped the person I am. So I think it can be for anyone, whether it's running, soccer, maybe it's not sports, in some way they can have an impact on the younger generation coming up. And I certainly think I have an obligation to give that back to these current athletes. And I want to make them better. I want to help navigate them through that transition from, always being an athlete to now figuring out life and who they want to become. And it's really my recruit pitch, but I firmly believe it is I want to help you figure it out, because you're not just a number. You're not just your best race, your PR. And sometimes it's hard to see that when you're in the depths of this sport. And so I think, like I said, I think I owe it to them to share the things that I had to learn. And because I had such fortunate, coaches that helped me with that.
This is a great place for us to wind down, because we definitely brought that full circle. And I think that's just amazing that, you're really focused on not just the athlete, but the person behind the times and the points. But I do want to ask you, we typically talk to marathon runners. When are you going to run a marathon?
Man, putting her on the spot.
You know what? I cannot give you that answer, but when I commit to it, you two will be one of the first to know. And it will be fast. I'll tell you that.
I love it.
I will not be just doing it to check off my box. It will be a fast marathon.
So let's see. So you got, it's so weird to think about, because we have the Olympics starting next week?
Right.
And
Friday, I think,
You were mentioning, well, I'm not going to give away your goals, but or what you would go after. But it's weird to think it's 3 years until the next Olympics.
Yeah,
it's not 4. You think like Varel is going for an OTQ. It's like, you do need to kind of go after that now, because it's only 2 years away.
No pressure.
Yeah.
Not to you, to Varel,
Yeah.
the freaking sadist.
Yeah.
But and that Physio, our friends at Physio Balance and Sports Performance, they were the title sponsor of the women's 6K. So it's fun partnership to see all of our friends, new and old, work together to put on an amazing event in Canton. And yeah, it was awesome. I can't wait for next year, and we will definitely do more with you. And
Yes.
I cannot wait for next year. It'll be a really big party. I'll bring an appropriate amount of champagne next time, so I don't have to go to Rite Aid.
Come on.
I'll join
Where
you,
was
Andrew.
mine?
I'll be there next year.
I'll find you. Now I know who you are.
Next year, yes. You look for me. We'll toast together.
All right. I can't wait. It's on. So
Great.
Tina, thank you so much. Best of everything with the race. Best of everything this coming cross season as you take on a little bit more responsibility. Now you got to worry with all the dudes and the extra like 1.3 miles or whatever they have to run.
Well, I keep a tight ship, so they're in for a treat.
All right. Coach Tina don't mess around. So.
Nope, I don't.
Thank you so much for joining us, Adam. I will see you next week. To all our listeners, stay safe out there and enjoy your miles, everybody.
Thank you.